This ramble is a response to Sugalanren's response to me, Tofu, Turkey, and Bitcoin. And thanks for wishing me a good Thanksgiving, even though you live in a country that does not celebrate Thanksgiving. I didn't have a good one. I explained this on the Breakfast Club somewhere in their long hours and hours of footage of us talking. But 3 reasons I had a bad Thanksgiving. Number one, we ordered a Thanksgiving feast from a company called Boston Market. It's a chain of restaurants here in the U.S., and they put together a crap bit of food to give to people. And it was picked up the day before Thanksgiving, but the turkey that they gave us was frozen solid. I remind my clients throughout the whole week to take their turkey out of the freezer and put it into the fridge so that it will thaw, so it will cook well on Thanksgiving all week. And then we go pick up our turkey, and the company that gave it to us the day before Thanksgiving, they had it frozen solid. So there's that. But also, every bit of the food sucked. In making the mashed potatoes, the directions on it say, put it in the microwave for 4 minutes. Then you take it out, you run a fork through it, and it looks like grits made out of corn. And then, 20 minutes later, it has congealed into mashed potatoes because it's reconstituted. And that's not something that I would want my company's name slapped on the side of, but that's what they sold us. You buy something expecting one thing and get another. And that experience sucked for me. So there's that. That's one reason that my Thanksgiving sucked. Another one was because people that aren't necessarily part of my family affected my Thanksgiving plans. Every other year, my brother has his turn to have his kids because of a joint custody issue. And so this was the year that he wasn't going to be having them. And so we didn't plan to go to his house to be our big family that we can be. And then his ex decided to dump the kids off on him on Thanksgiving anyway. And if she had given more notice, then we would have had a better Thanksgiving where we were all together. But, people in those sorts of situations don't realize that they're affecting a lot more than just their own kids and their ex. Whole plans get made around these custody issues, these disputes where if you change at the last minute, which has happened a few times, it kind of ruins people's ability to plan. And Thanksgiving is one of those things that you plan. You have this meal that you cook for hours upon hours in a house, and then, at the time that that decision was made, we had already started cooking in our house the crap food that we got from Boston Market, right? So, yeah. By the way, the turkey from Boston Market, whatever seasoning they put on it, makes it taste like cat food. I don't recommend. Nobody should ever buy that. Like a White Castle burger. Like, ugh. Anyways, the third reason why my Thanksgiving sucked was taking on, in my job, a lot of people the day before Thanksgiving who just wanted to see me, my clients, taking on their shit. And, they get a little piece of my mind. And I have a different perspective on Thanksgiving and how much stress it puts on people, especially a type of stress where there are family members who you have boundaries against that you don't want to see, and you don't see them the whole rest of the year. But certain holidays, other family members can use that as leverage and say, "Oh well, it's Thanksgiving. You have to come see, your parents, even though that cousin or that brother or that sister that you don't want to see will be there." And so the whole, it's the holiday spirit. You have to forgive for one day this family member that you have a good reason for having boundaries against, right? And so many of those stories of people having their arms twisted to go into situations where it's causing them a lot of anxiety just made me feel different about the holidays in general. So, boundaries, people. If you don't want to be in a situation with a certain someone, just don't. I say just don't as if it's an easy thing, but make it easier than you're making it. That's like a look behind the scenes into how the therapist is seeing it. Like, you're making this too hard. How can we make this easier? So yeah, in response to Huck's actual meat and potatoes of his video, first thing he did was he showed his shirt, and his team he said was sponsored by Bitcoin, and it is not. It is sponsored by Bitcoin SV. Now, the difference being, there was a hard fork where some people decided to do one thing and other people decided to do others as far as the governance of a coin is concerned, right? So Bitcoin has forked a couple times where little spin-offs have happened. Bitcoin SV was the last spin-off. That's Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, right? It is different than Bitcoin, right? Underneath the hood, the programming looks very similar. They just had a difference of opinion, and they decided to split off from Bitcoin. Before that, it was Bitcoin Cash. That would be Bitcoin SV is BSV, if you're looking for it in crypto listings. Bitcoin Cash is BCH, which now that Bitcoin has what they call the Lightning Network, I don't know why BCH even exists, but Bitcoin Cash was basically an attempt to make it more friendly for people to make purchases with Bitcoin, like going to the restaurant and being able to actually like wave your phone and have some Bitcoin used for the transaction. So like you would have Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. That's my understanding of it. But there is a cryptocurrency guru called Guy Swan, and his regular podcast has like probably 1,000 episodes of it. I'm not pointing towards that. He has another podcast called Shitcoin Insider, and there's to my knowledge only like 5 episodes that he's put out of it, and that's him and his friends just ragging on everything else but Bitcoin. They are what we call Bitcoin maximalists. So the Bitcoin maxis, they believe that only Bitcoin has any value, and all the other coins are just a means of removing fools from their money, right? Everything is just another excuse for one person to make a lot of money. In Ethereum's case, it would be Vitalik Buterin, the founder. I'll say, like, for all the words that I could use in that sense. He's the founder of Ethereum. Dude is stinking rich, right? Because of Ethereum. But basically, a lot of the lesser coins, the shit coins, they all have aspects to them where the creators are going to get rich and you are not. And the way that Bitcoin is decentralized, with a decentralized ledger that can correct itself if somebody tried to do something hokey, there's other copies of what actually happened with the transaction logs. So with that and the set rate of mining and the limit on how many coins can actually be minted ever, with all that, Bitcoin is the most secure as far as a storage of wealth. Every other coin has their own spin on all of those things, and part of that spin is, how can I, the creator, get personally rich off of this project while being a different project in the crypto space, right? And in the worst case scenario, there are rug pulls where a coin gets created, it gets hyped for a couple months, and then the creators pull out the investment, pull the rug out from everyone, and everybody else loses money, and they're left with worthless tokens that are digital on a project that's never going anywhere. It's dead. And so those things happen weekly. I hear of another rug pull. There's literally 10,000 tokens that I can find on CoinGecko, and after the first 100, a lot of those projects are dead in the water. When you get down to the 10,000th, it's pretty bad. I even created a token just to see how easy it would be to create a token. I named it after my friend Haas, and that would be the ticker you could find it under, but yeah, I don't have it listed on any exchange because it was just a project. It was I don't mean to rug pull anyone. I'm not trying to get anyone's money. I just created a token on the Binance chain just to see how easy it would be. And you actually could get some if you had the contract address by going to PancakeSwap. But I'm not putting the address in the description of this video at all because I'm not trying to rug pull people. I don't want people to buy into it. So it does exist. I know how to do it, and it took probably 30 minutes tops for me to create the token itself because of how easy some other projects from GitHub have made it to insert things into the blockchain of larger tokens. The only reason why it takes 30 minutes is because the Binance Smart Chain already exists. All the backbone is already there. Ethereum tokens, ERC tokens, the same thing. A new ERC token pops up every fucking day. New Binance token pops up every fucking day. Whether they have the money to promote to people through influencers like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, or worse, that's another thing. The YouTube channel CoffeeZilla has a lot of coverage of these scams, and I've been enjoying his coverage of it. He's become of all the different pwnage videos that I've seen in the past, right now CoffeeZilla is with his detective work. He's probably my favorite of all the expose channels that I've seen. Currently, he is my favorite. Okay. In Huck's video to me, he was quoting to me back something that I said about GE stock, where when I sold, it was at 30, and it went down to 5, right? So he says, well, now it's at 100, so that shows the long game. No. Here's the thing. the stock that I had was it was a different class of stock than the stock that you're quoting back to me. Okay, so the ratio is the same. So let me show you the stock that you quoted back to me, right? So GE right now is sitting at around 100, right? At the time where I sold, my 10-to-1 ownership class stock was sitting around $320 equivalent, right? Right there. And then it went down to what this equivalent is 68. That ratio that I'm showing you right here, from that to that, right there, right at the bottom, that crash, it has never recovered from that. It got up to $250, which would have been, I guess, $25, which would have been almost a recovery from where I sold it at 30. And then right now it's sitting at 97, which would be the equivalent of $10 to my 30. So, yeah, just to clarify, GE has more than one class of stock, and when I said that, right before the crash of 2008, I sold my $30 stuff, and then it crashed all the way down to $5. That was the other class, and these stocks, they go through splits and mergers such that I don't understand, and I'm not the best at explaining it. But if you just look at that chart, you can see that at one time, before those crashes, the stock was valued way higher. Now it's valued lower. And in the long game, I did win. The ratios are still the same as what the current chart is if you just look at GE stock on Google. So yeah, there's that. Huck, you talked about diversification in stock and in crypto. My method of diversifying is just to, put a little bit of money in that 401k that is managed by Fidelity, and it is basically an index stock, an index fund where they have a pretty diverse mix, and it performs. And what I go by is year after year, what is the performance of the fund, and it's done pretty well for me. But it's one of those things that I like to just set it and forget it, because without that mindset, I don't feel like I would be getting anywhere. If I was trying to manage things on the daily, I might fuck up more than I would make. That's just day trading. I would suck. I've done a lot of paper trading, and I've done a little bit of day trading, and in both cases, I don't do any better than if I would just invest in an index, and at that point, I start valuing my time being money, because there's also what you talked about, diversification and what you do for income. I could be making better money just going to work than thinking about stocks and trying to project, when I get a pretty good rate of return just investing in the index, in the mixed fund, and then that diversified fund makes a pretty good return for my time, because I don't have to think about it. I don't have to keep checking it every day. Now, as far as diversification in income, there's I do have little side projects. I guess YouTube used to be when I wasn't making a lot of money. YouTube got up to being about a quarter of my income, Now, nowadays, I have a channel that doesn't perform as well for the amount of subscribers that I have. I suck. I really do. And part of that is I didn't post daily, and I fucked my own channel. But yeah, if you look at the rate at which I post videos, the days where I was posting daily, when I had the best view counts and whatnot, that was when I didn't have as much depression, and when I was having more time on my hands. And now the returns that I get from work are greater than the returns I would get from YouTube. Sometimes both in money and in just fun and interest, and you know, the returns can be measured so many different ways. Real life is now a little bit better to me with my career and whatnot. There's ups and downs, but my interest is peaked more. So, yeah, that diversification of income. I also have, besides stocks and crypto and my career, there is also my little side hustles of YouTube, which I do have some investment in. I mean, you're probably seeing me on a 4K camera right now, where I'm not even lit up well enough to be using a 4K camera. And yeah, I've got, you were talking about a Blue Yeti. You know, I've got this is what a Simpson. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I used to put a whole bunch of microphones in my videos just to make fun of people who had the latest and greatest microphones, and this whole ARM thing. The ARM is just a parody of YouTubers trying to be serious about things. Really, the microphone, the Rode microphone that cost $50, that's on the $1,000 camera that you're seeing me through. That's the only microphone I actually use on most anything. And it does pretty well. It's got a dead cat on it, so when I'm out in the wind, it doesn't get the sound of the wind when I'm out filming things, which hasn't really happened since the pandemic, because I don't get out much. So, another thing that I wanted to address in Huck's video is how crypto currencies, all of the different tokens, seem to rise and fall together, right? There's a reason for this, and I will try to simplify. The easiest term to search for this would be Bitcoin dominance. How much of the entire cryptocurrency market is Bitcoin versus all the other coins, right? Bitcoin versus altcoin dominance, right? When Bitcoin is on its big runs, where its value is going up, sometimes the value of all the other cryptos goes down because people see that run starting, and they sell off all their altcoins to switch it over to Bitcoin really quick to get that little gain. And that cumulative effect of everybody switching their mode of thought to Bitcoin versus the altcoins tends to propel Bitcoin a little bit more. It's like there's saved up energy in the altcoin space that gets into Bitcoin during those times, right? And then when Bitcoin peaks out and starts to fall, they have what they call altcoin season, where people try to save the profits that they took from the Bitcoin topping out. And you can see this on like the minute level, and you can see this on like the 4-year level, right? But even on like the minute by minute, when you see like over a 15-minute span, you see Bitcoin peak and then go down. If you look at some of the altcoins, like the top 10 altcoins, people are taking money out of Bitcoin at that moment and putting it into the altcoins. They're trying to save all of those gains. They're day trading, basically. And that's how a lot of the value gets into the altcoins. Now, there is also a more macro effect of the entire cryptocurrency market space going up and down together. And especially in the past, say, 3 weeks. Now, this video series with Huck is going beyond 3 weeks' time, right? But like acutely in the past 3 weeks, there has been a decline in Bitcoin from its high of 69K, all-time high, to now it's around 54,000. So that's a good 20% decline. And a lot of the other altcoins have suffered even more than that. I'm looking at VeChain. It was at 17 cents, and now it's at 11. So that's way more than a 20% decline. And part of this is because each exchange, when it opens up, it needs to have liquidity, right? And so people start that liquidity by putting into a pool a bunch of Bitcoin and a bunch of the other token, right? And these exchanges need to have that liquidity so that when somebody wants to trade from one to the other, it's available, right? And so all of the other coins are traded against Bitcoin. So you need to have pairings. Now, another currency that things are paired up against often right now is Tether, which is a coin that tries to attempt to tether itself to the price of the US dollar, right? So you go to exchanges like Binance and KuCoin. Those are the ones that I have used the most. Kraken, Coinbase, whatnot. When you're buying all these tokens, they're usually paired against Bitcoin first as a legacy. Like when it all first started, everything was paired against Bitcoin. So if you sell it, you're selling from that altcoin into Bitcoin and then back into another altcoin if you're trying to trade between coins, right? That pairing dominance, that Bitcoin is paired to everything on all the exchanges, is the reason why crypto on this macro level looks to all go up and down together. It's those liquidity pairings that are doing that. As cryptocurrency moves into the future, you'll see that coins will start to operate a little bit more independently of Bitcoin's movement. Now, I've seen, by the way, everybody, this is not investment advice. Okay, not investment advice at all. But I have seen an effect with, there's a coin called Matic, Polygon, where their whole network, you have to cross a bridge to get to it, and that bridge takes a long time, right? So to get onto the Matic network with some Ethereum, it takes maybe a couple hours where you start your transaction and then you have to wait. And then finally you get your coins in your Matic wallet like hours later, because that's how backed up their transactions are. And then when you try to get your coins off of the network, literally it can take, when you're crossing the plasma bridge, they call it, it can take 7 days. And the effect that that has is that all of the things that are happening in the world outside of the Matic network on Bitcoin and just on the other exchanges that happen really quickly, all of those things are delayed by about a factor of 7 days. Because if you have, say, Ethereum on the Matic network and you're trying to sell out to get back to your actual physical bank, sell out of crypto and get back to money and put it in your own bank, it's a week later that you're reacting to the news, because you start your transaction on that plasma bridge to try to get it back to an exchange where you can then get the money out of it that way, because you have some way of sending money to your bank. Now, that's creating more separation between Bitcoin and the other coins, especially the ones that are on the Polygon network. They are a little bit buffered from the peaks and valleys of Bitcoin, because all the news that happens to them has to happen, muffled through the sidechain connection that Matic has to Ethereum. So as crypto keeps on moving and things become more their own, they will go up and down with Bitcoin a lot less in the future. But I'm talking like 10 years. Like in the next 4 years, which is a lot of what my crypto investment strategy is based on, like 4-year cycles. And that's because of the halving cycle of Bitcoin. In the next 4 years, I'd say that they'll still be connected the same way that you're noticing. Yeah. One of the phrases that Hook said in his video was, "If America sneezes, the UK catches a cold." And there is there's a saying in cryptocurrency that I got from that Guy Swan Shitcoin Insider podcast. It goes, if Bitcoin succeeds, it will be in spite of all the altcoins. If altcoins succeed, it will be because of Bitcoin. It's a similar saying, but basically when you look at Bitcoin dominance, like if there is another run to this bull run and there's a blow off top where Bitcoin hits another all-time high, you'll see that all the altcoins, like, people just leave them, right? They're like, oh, fuck this, I don't want to play anymore, I want to go for Bitcoin. But when Bitcoin is in its bear market, which lasts a couple years at a time, altcoins tend to go to nothing. All the money that pours in when Bitcoin gets more hype, which has happened in every 4 years, when that hype happens, people get into the space. They're originally investing in Bitcoin, and then they're like, wait, there's these altcoins that have better returns right now. Like lately, they're posting like 10% gains. Well, that happens in the bull market, but in the bear market, those altcoins go to zero. Maybe not absolute zero. There will be Ethereum will probably stay, at least 25% of what its all-time high is. VeChain and ADA, I think, and Polkadot will probably keep a good portion of their value. Matic might keep 10% of its value at the worst of the bear market, But a lot of the coins that are fly-by-night right now in the bull market, they're going to zero. They're going to be worth less than a penny 2 years from now. And that's when I will snatch up a bunch of them that I think might make a reappearance. That's in that bear market trough. That's part of my investment strategy. If we could call it a 4-year swing trade, but it looks more like investment at that point. But I have an HNT miner that's going to be arriving as soon as they ship it, which I paid for it in April. Every month I send them an email and they say, "Oh, we still haven't shipped it. We've only gotten to this number in the orders, and you're this number." But at this point, I don't even think I'll get it by Christmas. But at the current rate of return on an HNT miner, I think it produces something like the Tether equivalent of $250 if you were to take the HNT that you get from mining that way. And then turning that over, I'll be putting that into all of the shit coins that I think will have that 100x bounce between this bull run, the bear run where they hit zero, and the next bull run. And so I'm just going to diversify my cryptos by picking all the ones that I think have a chance of doing that bounce. Like each month I'll just collect the HNT, cash it out, and then throw it to a altcoin that I think might have that chance of picking up. Right now, there's an overall downward effect on all of crypto, which might by the end of the year rally back. But right now, there's a big emphasis on cryptos that are connected to gaming, like Sand or UFO is one that I actually own, and it has 4x'd in the last month that I've owned it. And sometimes it's about not about the fundamentals so much as it is the hype and the news cycle and what's hot right now. I'm gonna hold my UFO cryptos through this whole run, and probably hold it through till 4 years from now, because I believe in a few of these gaming companies. I especially am interested in a game called Victoria VR, because it's most like the MMO RPGs that I used to play in the past, but you'll have to use an Oculus to play it, and that'll be nice. And everything in it is an NFT, all the different items, and so I imagine it's going to take a lot more programming than I could ever understand. I understand my limitations in that respect, but I sure will play the game. The last thing I'll address of Huck's video was, when you're diversifying, you can also own property and rent to people, and that's one of those things that I've been reluctant to look into, because I believe that housing is in a bubble that is basically, when I look at a home in the Denver area that is selling for, the median right now is like $650,000, right? That's just crazy. I look at those homes, and what I see is that's $100,000 house selling for $650,000. Yeah, you could buy that and get some rental income by renting it, and maybe you could even rent it for as much as it would cost to pay your mortgage on it and then some, and make a little bit of a profit. But if the people living there destroy it, you've got to pay for those repairs in between tenants. And also, some tenants are getting more and more aware of their rights as renters, and so they'll get in there and they'll point something out that you have to repair, and they'll basically whittle away at the profit that you would make off renting to them, because they have a right to live in a good place if they're renting it, and it really makes it look like a bad investment to me, and my time being worth money with my other diversification of, I actually get paid a lot for doing my job. The amount of time that it would take for me to respond to renter problems without hiring a property management company to handle that for me as a middleman, which is another expense. I just feel like my time is better spent making money by just taking on another client at work. Like I look at the return and how much money I make there versus if I were to try to invest in property, I'd probably it would be a wash. I would break even as far as the rent versus the mortgage, but the property value I'm worried will undercut all of that and go down in the future to the point where if I'm looking at it as like a 5-year investment, I have no certainty that it will work out to being anything better than me losing half my money. And if I'm looking at it as a 30-year investment, maybe I have a lot more confidence in that, but like that's more towards what I might consider to be an end of life situation where, let's say, if it fell 5 years from now to where you lost half your money, and then it took another 5 years to approach getting back to that level of where the property values were, there could be another crash that basically you're stuck in that investment waiting to get your money back. And inflation is something that you then have to take into account as far as like, did you actually get the value of your money back? Inflation adjusted, I just I see better plays that I feel more secure in. Another YouTuber who I will recommend to everyone, Nikki Firesnow. I know this person personally. I have known her for about 10 years in person, and this person has actually showed up in some of my videos from when I was more active in activism regarding atheism, right? And so Nikki used to own a fourplex, 4 different like apartments, and lived in one of them, and tried to rent out the other 3 for income. And because Nikki had a heart and sort of befriended her neighbors while living in the same place, Nikki got taken advantage of. People who couldn't come up with the rent, and then it took a very long time for them to move out. And then there was one of the apartments that basically turned into a storage unit for woodworking equipment for a side hustle, of making wood projects. That took away from the income. But basically, at a certain point, Nikki was like praying for a foreclosure from the bank, and even that process was going to take way too long in that part of the market. Shit was just like the banks, if they had foreclosed on everyone and tried to sell those properties, they would have felt like they were getting the short end of the stick. So they were actually working with people beyond what they normally would have at the time. But yeah, if you don't have the heart for renting to people and being a hard ass when it comes to rent is due, and you damaged this, so I need to assess you guys for this much damage to my property. And, you know, if you don't have the heart to be able to evict someone for non-payment of rent, then maybe you don't need to be in that business, because it can be not as easy as it looks. And because of the rights of the renters, they can stretch out not paying you rent for like 100 days in some places, where evictions take so long. The court system for evictions right now is so backed up that you start your application to try to evict someone, and just getting your court date where the judge says, okay, they have 30 days to move, that can take a lot of time just to get to that first court date. So even after that, if they don't move in that 30 days, they can still take a long time to wait for the sheriffs to come remove them. And this whole time, you really can't go to the place because it's a hostile environment. You know, when you want them evicted and they you know, they're not leaving, and during that time, they know that they're going to owe you, and they're probably going to never want to pay what they owe. So they can, you know, neglect the place and maybe destroy it, and maybe even remove some of your fittings and you know, worst case, I'm talking like Cleveland or Detroit, maybe they'll strip the copper out of the place because they're wanting to recycle it for money so that they can do more meth in your property, which is going to make you have to do meth abatement, which will make you have to rip out all the drywall. I'm talking like worst case scenario nightmare, right? When all that happens to people, they get caught at a loss. A lot of people prior to the pandemic were buying up properties and using them for Airbnb and making a good return versus renting to normal renters, because it's a different type of people that would use their Airbnb and whatnot, more vacationers versus people who are trying to live there permanently. And when the pandemic happened, a lot of people that owned multiple properties and weren't getting any rentals for Airbnb because nobody was visiting anyone, everybody locked down in their own homes, those people started to suffer and, you know, have to face foreclosures and whatnot. And it's just a market that there's so many things that can happen. Like even right now, the downturn in stocks and crypto is due to a lot of news about the Omicron variant of COVID, right? And all the news that I'm watching right now, and I do kind of, you know, look at different sources, they use words like possibly and could. And really, they don't know real facts about this thing. They just, you know, it's a lot of possibly. And they're you know, they're hedging on the facts a lot because they just want something to report, but they really don't know anything. So they take all their questions and put possibly, and then go with the worst case scenario. And it's caused a downturn in the markets such that, like, I could not predict this. Looking at my technical analysis charts for where we should be with Bitcoin right now, prior to this downturn, what at the all-time high of 69K for Bitcoin, I thought that by now we would be on our way to about I'm looking at my chart here. I thought we would be around 74K, and Plan B, a very famous guy who came up with the stock to flow model for cryptocurrency, and also is an anti-vaxxer, by the way. Plan B had a floor model along with his stock to flow model where he was putting out October close would be 63K, which it was actually 61, and November close would be 98K. And right now we're at 53.8 as I'm filming this. So we're about half of where he thought we would be. Like, to be 50% off, or 100%, depending on which way you're looking at it. His prediction to be like double what the actual price is incredible, because he's been right for months in a row calling what the close would be, and then this downturn took the best technical analysis, people who've been watching these markets a lot longer than me. We could not predict that this swerve would happen because of this variant at this time with COVID. And in business, earlier in my life, when I had a business in Colorado Springs and it went out of business, I had factors like 2 wildfires. One was the Waldo Canyon fire, one was the Black Forest fire. These are historical events. There was a government shutdown, and in that city, a lot of people are government workers. And so for a while, my business was getting no revenue coming in because for like 6 weeks, the government wasn't paying its employees. And so people who did have money, because they weren't in government jobs, they were loaning their money to their friends who did have government jobs so that everyone could stay afloat through that time. So nobody had any money. And that was actually the Christmas shopping season when that happened to me. So, there were these outside factors that were affecting my business that I had no ability to predict. You can't predict a forest fire. You can't predict, the government shutdowns from gridlock from Congress, because they happen every so often, but you don't know when they're going to happen. Every few years, one will come up, right? In some cities, it's earthquakes. In other cities, it's hurricanes. And the business models that are affected by that, places to invest that are infected by such things, they just give me the heebie-jeebies, because I've had losses because of these unpredictable things. When the housing market does finally crash, it will be late for that crash by my own analysis. By right now, we're 2 years late. Whenever the bubble does pop and housing prices start to fall in the U.S., I predicted it would happen in December of 2019. And I'm still waiting. And I am not moving until, prices get better, because I can't afford to even qualify for a better home than what I'm in until that happens. I need, it's horrible that I'm an American with my big fucking coffee cup and I'm praying for a housing market crash. Which is going to affect a lot of people's value that they have tied in their homes. I get that. But Daddy wants a house. And he wants it on sale. So, yeah, I'm kind of hoping for the worst for everyone else so I can get the best. Isn't that the core of what investing is anyway? Anyways, don't worry about making videos. This is not just for a Huck at the Sugalanren channel. Don't worry about taking up my time and this becoming a back and forth, because I actually believe that YouTube should be used more as a social media than as your own personal TV channel. That's why I parody things with equipment that I don't need. That's why, I make videos that aren't all of a certain nature because I'm trying to grow a channel anymore. I actually think that it's probably healthier for me that I start doing video responses, because if I look at the months where I was the most depressed in my life, and then I look at my YouTube channel, the months where I had less uploads, those are the months that I was probably doing worse with my own mental health. So don't worry about me as far as taking up my time. It's nice to have other people who are using YouTube for what I figure it should be used for, social media, rather than the dream that it will one day become one of your diversified incomes, or even your primary income, which is akin to winning the lottery. All right. Ramble over. Talk to you later.